Hello, welcome to Tuesday Talks. Today we would talk about CKAN with a core tech team developer, about current active build development efforts in CKAN core, and how CKAN developers and users can benefit from new functionality that will make CKAN better in 2025. Nice to see you here, Sergey.
Hey, nice to see you.
Cool. I'm so happy I got you on the call. And you're in Kharkiv, which is also great. Full-fledged support and respect for keeping the ball, basically, and for CKAN and for the country. Paying taxes and all that stuff. A lot of respect.
You're welcome.
Let's start with basics. Present yourself. Please start with how long are you with CKAN?
I believe it's around 10 years by now. So I joined the CKAN community maybe 10 years ago. I started creating my first pull request, and then in 2 or 3 years, so it gives us 7 years ago, I joined a core tech team and started actively working not only on small fixes that are required by my company, but also on generic features that will be benefitable for everyone in the community.
So what are your specializations in the core dev team? What tasks are you tackling?
Everyone of us works partially on reviewing issues that come from external work. But obviously, everyone has not exactly specialization, but maybe areas that are interested to him. So I am mostly interested in building tools that are convenient for developers. Yes, of course, CKAN primary targets are people, organizations who use CKAN. But I also want every developer to love CKAN as an instrument for building websites. So that's why in the last years, I was working on extending configuration layout of CKAN so that DevOps and any person who wants to change configuration has no troubles in finding what exactly and how can be configured. Another quite big feature is providing typing support for core CKAN so that in advance, that code you're writing will not work with CKAN or most likely will produce bugs because of statical type checking, which reports that structure of data that you expect is not the same as CKAN might provide. So basically, my focus is the tools for debugging, for writing code, and for analyzing performance.
That's quite comprehensive. So talking about new functionality, having a sneak peek, having an insight for people who watch us. I heard that Ian works on decreasing latency. Do you know any details while working with him?
So basically, Ian fanatically loves performance. There are no moments when he's satisfied with page load speed, and he always trying to make it smaller and smaller. At the moment, as far as I know, recently he was working on problems with high load for data store in CKAN. So basically, he has tasked to be able to process millions of rows inside the table, to be able to quickly search it, quickly index, add new rows. That's why he did quite a huge, impressive work. Not solved all the problems, actually, but he opened for us a way to build more robust interfaces, to build more robust for storing and searching tabular data. That's a huge chunk of work he done. And right now, he's working more on UI stuff, basically on updating only parts of the page. For example, during the search, everyone who works with CKAN may have been irritated by the fact that whenever you apply a new search filter or change search word, the whole page reloads. It means that the whole header structure with tons of links, maybe with background image, the whole footer structure reloads, even though it actually completely the same. The only block on the page that changed is data sets that are found. So what Ian did, he injected JavaScript HTMX library into the search page. And now, whenever user change filters, only the actually changed content, only the list of data sets is updated, which gives us around 30 time faster page render. So basically, on standard normal instance, you would expect that search page reloads during 1 or 2 seconds whenever you change search filters. Right now, it happens in a fraction of seconds. So you can reload page 20 times and still a second will not pass. So basically, it's huge performance boost for search. And if it will work for everyone, maybe they will in future we will see such updates for more pages. Yeah, that's for things that Ian is working right now.
Thanks, Sergey. Yeah, absolutely. I'm leveraging the fact that you are on a weekly basis or on a daily basis communicating with other core dev team members and basically getting the baseline on what is worked on right now and thinking about the future a bit. So we definitely are talking about what your peers are doing. I don't want this to be uncomfortable, but just as a sneak peek, like share what you know. Like, cool, thanks, Sergey. Like fascinating stuff that you told, really, especially on the impact level, because CKAN is global, big instances, smaller instances for education, for governmental entities. So if this update is used, and it will be used, not if, but when this update is used, it levels up the user experience to millions of people who are accessing CKAN daily.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Search functionality. I know that there are works in this matter as well. How it will be transformed?
Yes, as for search functionality, that's actually this field that completely belongs to Adria right now, Adria Mercader. So he's also doing great things. During last year, he did a lot of things for search from different perspectives. So he actually developed plugin extension for CKAN that allows you to search in similar way everything in CKAN, not only data sets, but also resources, organizations, user. Basically, he transformed his extension, transforms everything in CKAN into searchable entities. Even though it may be not a frequent case, but I believe there are portals where they have a lot of organization and each organization have some sort of metadata that must be discoverable. For example, you know that some organization has website at example.com and you want to find this organization. With Adria's plugin, now it's possible. Another really cool stuff he did for search, I believe also as extension, is building word embeddings into search. It's a term from machine learning. And to put it simply, basically what his extension does, it transforms all metadata from data sets into numbers, even though it sounds crazy, but basically depending on the meaning of the word, this word produces certain number, and only those numbers are stored inside search index. Then whenever you search something, your search also transforms into numbers, and the search index compares those numbers. If they're similar, you will get results. In this way, we are focusing not on spelling on the word, on not actual combination of letters that give us the word, but instead we focus on meaning. In this sense, ocean and sea are completely different words in terms of spelling, but context for them are usually the same, which means they will produce approximately similar numbers. And user who search for ocean will also see datasets related to sea. In this way, search becomes more natural, and people doesn't have to play with 20 different similar search queries using just a different word set. They can actually search the idea that they want to discover, use, and so on. That's regarding extensions. And finally, it's the greatest part. Adria is working right now on it. He is building translator interface for future integration of multiple search engines into CKAN. At the moment, we are using Solr, and it has its own syntax. Problems that we faced right now, if we want to integrate other search engine, Elasticsearch or maybe PostgreSQL full text search or Sphinx, etc., we have to familiarize users with completely different search language. It will be complex for them. It will be complex for extension developers because they have to keep in mind that CKAN may use different search engines. So how Adria approached this problem? He decided to develop a standard interface that CKAN promises to fulfill. So basically, CKAN makes a contract that when you want to search a specific field, you have to provide a search term in this format. When you want to search dates that are greater than specific date, you have to provide it in this format. And then it's a job of CKAN to translate those queries into engine-specific query language. In this way, extension developers and user will not think about how CKAN how Portal works under the hood. They just will use standard queries, and then CKAN will supply them with the result, no matter what actually is used on the backend. This level of abstraction opens opportunity for building potentially any search engine that exists right now and may appear in future into CKAN. Yeah, that's it about search.
Okay, so embeddings. I know that this approach is used with natural language processing for AI, quite kind of technology that gains popularity right now, and for a reason.
Exactly, and it would be really sinful not to use it.
You're currently working on integrating a new file management flow. May you tell more about it?
Yes, so that's one of those things that I think is mostly developer focused. Yes, obviously, a lot of different applications store their data on cloud and actually on different cloud. There are a number of plugins for uploading data to different cloud providers, but from developer point of view, on daily basis, I see some problems. For example, one of our clients wanted to use simultaneously two different clouds because they have historical data that already stored on one cloud, for example, Google Cloud, and new data they want to upload into Amazon S3. It doesn't actually matter which exact providers are used, but the problem is they want to use two different file storage destinations, and so that user doesn't see difference. For users, they are just files. Or another problem, some portals working with really huge data, not hundreds of or even gigabytes of data, but maybe terabytes of data. And whenever data is uploaded into CKAN, there are two huge problems. First of all, in normal CKAN workflow of file processing, file first goes to CKAN server, and only then it moves to cloud. So basically, CKAN server must have capacity to hold these terabyte files. The second problem, if a connection somehow interrupts, or server is down, maybe mobile network is down, there are thousands of reasons what can go wrong. A user have to re-upload file from the scratch and spend ages trying to put new data into CKAN. So a lot of clients actually want resumable uploads, so that at any point you can just stop upload or interrupt it somehow, and then continue exactly from the moment you stopped before. Because of those two problems, and actually there are much more, but they are more specific. Around a year or two ago, we started working on extensions that completely changed paradigm of file handling in CKAN. It was battle tested, this proof of concept, and now we decided to integrate into CKAN core. Basically, it works. It does what we want from it, and we think that it does the job better than old CKAN interface. That's about reasoning. So actually about this functionality. What this extension, this logic, and potentially in the future, core CKAN logic changes. It introduced different approach to file management. Well, before, files were only some sort of fields of resources in CKAN. Basically, you upload a file, it's attached to a resource, and that's all. You don't know anything about file. A resource may contain information about file, about date when it was changed, about its format, but that's it. The main metadata owner in CKAN is resource and dataset. File itself is just some sort of artifact. Because of it, we cannot actually track files. If resource says it has some file, but file is not in file system, nobody knows it. before someone tries to download the file. If a resource replaces its file, so basically when you upload new document into resource, old file just goes, there are no connection to it, and new file replaces it. And in this way, we cannot build history of file changes, data legacy feature. New approach treats files themselves as some sort of primary entries in CKAN. In the same way, dataset, organization, resource, user has metadata field, has history of changes. Now files also have this. From now on, you don't actually have to upload files into resources. You just upload file into CKAN, and file itself exists in vacuum. File has its own metadata field. File doesn't belong to anyone. File can be discovered and searched. And from this point, you can decide whether you want to attach this file to a resource, or maybe you want to attach this file as user avatar to user or organization. Or finally, you may want to attach the same file as a legal document to the data set. Basically, absolutely any entity now can have files attached to it. In the same way, if you want to upload new version of the file into a source, you then don't have to overwrite old file completely. You just upload new file entity, put it next to old file entity, and both of them are linked to the resource. If you want, you can visualize, show resource changes. You can allow users to download previous file versions if they want. For example, if they referring specific resource, specific data set version with specific file content in their science paper, now they will be able to refer specific file, and CKAN will guarantee that file doesn't change. This exact file will exist no matter what changes happen to resource. Finally, this gives us more control over access to the file. We don't have to inherit access from resource. Now you can specify that specific organization members have access to all the files that are attached to a certain set of data sets, and so on. You can, as a user, you potentially can upload public files that will be available to anyone, and private files into different folders that will be visible only to you, which you can move at any point further. How it works under the hood? Basically, instead of just introducing one entry point as did CKAN before, which just accepts file and uploads it. Now CKAN will have configuration for so-called storages. Basically, storage is a set of options which specify where exactly files are stored. I mean, on cloud, on local file system, inside database. And depending on the storage location, some additional details. For example, if it's cloud, then maybe some sort of secrets, passwords that are required to upload the file. If it's database, it may be database connection string. If it's files, local file system, it may be passed to the folder where files are stored. In this way, we can configure multiple storages, and when file uploaded, we can decide where exactly this file will go. Every storage will have programmatic interface, and it will be possible to move file from one storage to another. Basically, if you store, if your files were stored on Dropbox, and at some point you decided to migrate to Google Cloud, there will be no long complex process. You'll just configure Google Cloud and Dropbox storages and run command move files or copy files from one location to another. And after that, files will be available but downloadable from the different sources. There will be no downtime. There will be no missing files. Everything will be tracked by system and work just naturally. In this way, it opens future possibilities for building file hierarchies in CKAN, maybe downloading data sets as a single zip archive, building visualization that are based on a complex file hierarchy, and so on, so on. It's a lot of changes in ideas related to file management in CKAN. Because of it, we cannot just introduce it as is. Instead, we decided with the following strategy. Currently, there is an extension, CKANext files, that reflects our latest vision of this feature. It may change a bit in future, but basically it can be used right now in modern CKAN versions by people who want to prepare to future migration. Then, inside CKAN, it's starting to integrate it. We will provide some basic functionality, most essential, by the next CKAN release, which means 2.12. And after the next CKAN release, when people will have all required tools for migration in CKAN core, we will completely remove old upload interface and migrate to new system by the next version, 2.13.
Thanks, Sergey. Yeah, it's a lot of changes. I can acknowledge. It's profound, it's structural, it's basically the underlying worker, how CKAN works on a deep level. Because files handling for data management system, quite basic, essential task. So, quick thing on the value. So basically, it gives the potential for creating new interfaces and how it can benefit users. Kind of, what do you have in mind on this?
There are three groups of different users who will benefit from it. First of all, it's developers. For developers, task of integrating a new storage provider, or maybe integrating new logic around files, as I mentioned before, file lineage, history of changing the file, or maybe archival, or any logical new features that related to files will be much easier to develop for developers, and most of all, if they will have some ideas that potentially are not specific to one portal, but maybe used by everyone, CKAN is always open for those new ideas, and they may be integrated into CKAN core, which means more performant, more efficient, and more stable implementation of new features. For portal maintainers, it allows them to spend less on file management, especially if they potentially can migrate from one system to another, or if they want to support multiple systems or some unusual system like I don't know, magnet drive. If they're using some sort of old storage system, right now all they have to do in order to integrate it with CKAN, write maybe a couple hundreds of lines of code, or maybe even tens of lines of code, and it will work. They don't have to fork CKAN and completely rewrite it using customized CKAN version. They can use latest CKAN, they can safely upgrade it, and still use quite custom logic, because file management is like extendable. So for them, it's reduced cost for support, unusual stuff. For end users, mostly it's convenience during file uploading. Once again, it depends actually on interfaces that will be developed. But we're currently thinking at least about two different new interfaces. First of all, file first dataset resource creation, which means that you don't have to, at the moment, you have to specify all the dataset metadata, all the dataset details. After that, you create inside dataset resources, specify its details, and upload into a resource the file. Yeah. Now we can go from different direction. First, you upload a file, and then, because file itself contains some metadata, if it's tabular data, it contains set of columns, it contains format, size. Basically, we can deduct some details from the file and create data set based on information that already contains in the file. Potentially, a user may upload the file, and data set with resource will be created automatically without extra work, without extra time spent on putting data into every field of the data set. Second, quite convenient, as for me, option is the file uploads themselves. At the moment, you just choose file and wait till upload completed. In future, we expect that, first of all, we will finally add drag and drop into CKAN. You will be able to take file with your mouse and drag it from your computer, from your folder into browser window, and it will just upload. Second thing here, if you for some reason lose your internet connection, you will be able to continue from the moment of interruption. You don't have spent time re-uploading the whole file. The third thing here as well, it means that potentially it will be possible to upload file from multiple locations in parallel. So once again, if you have huge file, instead of uploading it from one computer with slow connection, you can start uploading of the same file from 3, 10, 20 machines, and each of them will upload only specific part, making the whole process much faster. Or maybe you will be able to, whenever you upload updated version of file, for example, some Excel document that have just few new rows, you won't be required to re-upload the whole document. CKAN will analyze the file and upload only updated chunk, only last few rows, which take you just few seconds instead of few minutes for big files. So basically, for end user, it means just nicer and modern interface.
Oh, thanks, Sergey. I love how passionate you were. And these changes are really huge. Yeah, I kind of acknowledge that. And I can recall Ian was talking about drag and drop on one of the calls. So nice that the direction is taken to this quite cool user experience. I know also that you're working dynamic data validation. May you please tell why it's important?
Yes, another thing for developers and especially extension maintainers is data validation topic in CKAN. Actually, so anyone who worked with CKAN knows about its metadata schemas. Basically, whenever you want to save data inside CKAN as dataset or resource, you either have to use default metadata schema or provide your own custom metadata schema. But the thing is, if you go with custom solution, you have to describe the whole metadata schema. For extension maintainers, it may be a problematic point. For example, some extension like Connect Special requires you to add one extra field into dataset. So no matter what is your metadata schema, you have to specify field that will contain spatial data. And people either have to customize schema just because of this extension manually, or they have, once again, manually to update their existing schema whenever they enable Connect Spatial, and when they decide to disable it for some reason, they once again have to customize schema, removing this custom field. So a lot of work just to enable or disable extension. Another problem, people who use this extension always have to check the documentation of extension, check how exactly field must be defined. If the way of defining the field change in future, you have to verify it every time you pull in the latest changes. What would be nice to have, and what I'm trying to achieve at the moment, it would be nice if extension itself would be able to register this field. So whenever you enable a special extension, it must work in plug-and-play mode. You just enable it and it magically works with no extra changes, with no extra details, which potentially leads us to interface where extensions plugins will be disabled or enabled in runtime from admin interface of the portal. Yeah, and at the moment, there are no guarantees that it will be implemented, that it's possible, but I am working on proof of concept, trying to provide such dynamic schemas, such abilities for plugins to define new fields. Yeah, that's how it works regarding dynamic metadata validation.
Okay, that's clear. No follow-up questions for me. And it's a very good dense info. I love how it goes right now. And let's keep this talk at this level of density. So my proposition is to wrap up with the final question. So, more customizable UI. It's somehow related to CKAN's reliance on backbone for UI, and limitations of it, and possibilities that new changes would provide. Could you please shed some light on this?
So you may know that currently there is an active work, and it progressed quite well regarding restyling CKAN. So let's be honest. Currently, CKAN have a pretty outdated user interface. It just doesn't look modern. It doesn't look nice, and everyone is tired of those dark blue colors. They want something modern. The new CKAN UI is actively developed, and it solves a lot of structure problems inside CKAN templates, inside the ways CSS is registered, and so on. But potential, it's not a big problem, but it's maybe potential problems for some CKAN users. This new theme also relies on Bootstrap. As long as you're using Bootstrap, customizing CKAN most likely will be smooth, easy, and you will love it. But some, as far as I know, some organization requires using their own design framework, or maybe just your developers teams are used not to Bootstrap, but to Tailwind, Foundation, and any other framework. So what I'm thinking about is the latest idea. It's not actively developed yet. I'm also just working on proof of concept. CKAN needs two layers of abstraction. First of all, the one that actively developed, which closer to end user. Whenever you're using Bootstrap or similar framework, you just want to style specific components. You want to tell that buttons on my portal will look differently. So they will be not rectangular, but triangular or anything else. A header will be not green, but red. But there also must be a possibility for users who don't want Bootstrap at all. There must be some sort of layer in CKAN that allows you to define the structure, the grid system of portal, whether or not you are using sidebars on CKAN. Maybe just like homepage, you want every page to be full width without any sidebars. Instead of sidebars, you might want to use drop-downs or any other sort of accordions. That's the first part. Second part, grid system. In classic Bootstrap, we have a page divided into virtual 12 columns, and you must dance around it. But what if your design based on 16 grids column, or maybe 64 grids column for really huge displays? Most likely you want to use custom design framework. And there must be a layer inside CKAN that allows you to define such low-level ideas and replace not only visual appearance of the element, but also structural appearance. And I'm trying to find out a solution. Actually, I'm not really developing it myself. I'm just investigating how other system do it, especially Drupal, because I really love how its templating works. And I think about a way of maybe a new flow for defining CKAN themes. Instead of providing theme for a specific portal, it in future potentially may be possible to provide like generic themes that just distributed as extensions. For example, CKAN Bootstrap 5, CKAN Bootstrap 6, so that you don't have to wait while CKAN core migrate to new Bootstrap. You just install extensions that provides this base generic Bootstrap implementation. And over this basic implementation, you pile up your own custom styles. Once again, in future, it potentially means that you will be able to migrate from Bootstrap to Tailwind, but all the customization, all the custom appearances of element will remain. It will just switch to different language of base framework. What exactly will be possible and how exactly it may be implemented is the question for proof of concept. To which extent it will be possible. But main idea, we want CKAN not to really rely on Bootstrap. We want CKAN to be adaptable to absolutely any situation, so that no matter what are your expectations from solution, CKAN will suit you. So UI should not be a blocker why you choose not CKAN but any other system.
Okay, so even greater flexibility, because flexibility is one of the most named benefits which I heard from users, maintainers, developers. It was a Richard from Denmark, a researcher in the medical sphere, and he said, people don't know too much about CKAN in our area, but they love it absolutely for flexibility. So everything I heard from you today is like more and even more flexibility. So CKAN become more extensible and powerful, sort of. It's faster, right? File management with more possibilities, more cases included, outage, multiple file uploads, etc. More flexibility on UI. It will be new UI as well. So the thing would be even bigger than it is right now, technologically. That's quite fascinating.
Yeah, it may be also complex. One problem here is increased complexity. So we are not, just to be clear, we are not only focusing on new things. They are all sometimes delivered slowly because we are also trying to keep things simple. Even new complex ideas must be implemented in the way it's easy to grasp them and start using them. And that's why we're doing it very carefully and slowly.
Fantastic. That makes perfect sense. Backwards compatibility was one of the really serious and cool features for CKAN. Sergey, may I ask you for the final sort of words to CKAN developers or wannabes, or people who are thinking about developing a portal and picking in technology? Why CKAN is a great technology for data portals and other cataloging needs?
I love in CKAN, first of all, its openness in different aspects. So openness in terms of open source code, openness in terms of attached team pools, which are open of everyone, openness in terms of ideas. So really a lot of ideas are welcomed. Even though sometimes we don't have capacity, but the fact that pull requests from people who submitting them into CKAN for the first time really gives us power, gives us energy to work more. I really love that when people find CKAN, they actually can use it, but they are not satisfied with a specific situation. They ask us to fix this problem, maybe they provide solution for this problem. It's accepted in CKAN, and from this point, CKAN becomes ideal tool for those people. That may happen in CKAN. Obviously, that may happen in other tools as well, but from my experience, CKAN is more open for such sort of changes for people who want to make it better for them and for everyone else. And that's what I love in CKAN most.
Great. Thank you for joining Tuesday Talks. If you'd like to learn more about how CKAN Tech Team works, every Tuesday and Thursday, there are meetings open for attendance, and it's a Gitter chat when these meetings are announced and all this support and technical communication happens. Also, please visit linkdigital.com.au for more info on which data management tasks and projects the company can help you with. Thanks again.
Thank you.